Welcome to Outdrive, folks. I'm your host, Cliff Callis, and each week I'm bringing you actionable marketing insights you can apply to reach, connect with, and convert rural American consumers. Outdrive is powered by Callis, a full-service advertising agency with a focus on marketing rural America. Callis offers a wide range of integrated marketing services, including website development, search engine marketing, social media, video, and digital. We develop strategic and creative campaigns to build your brand and your business, and you can learn more about us at ecallis.com. Now join me in the front seat as we head out on the road to success. Let's go.
Hey folks, welcome to Outdrive. We've got another great story to share with you today about life and work in rural America. You know, the very best way to start a new business is to identify a need that's not being met and fill it. It's the classic marketing model, and it's how our guest today got started. Susie Arbo is the founder and owner of Crossroads Counseling, a private practice that helps children, teenagers, and adults work through issues to live a positive and productive life. An experienced speaker, Susie enjoys encouraging people to help them achieve their goals. She has built a very successful business with facilities located throughout rural America, and she shares her keys to success, her branding thoughts, and some inspiration for all of us. We're excited to have her on. Welcome to Outdrive, Susie.
Thank you for having me. I'm excited to be on the show.
I'm excited for you to be on the show as well. We have a lot of different things to talk about today. I think you have done an amazing job of building a business from scratch out in rural America. So we want to talk about that and maybe some tips that you can pass along to others who might be thinking about going through that. I know your life is kind of interconnected between lifestyle and passions and work, and I think that's unique. And we can talk about how you've achieved that. We want to talk about building the brand and also building the personal brand. But before we go down any of those roads, let's start by having you tell our audience a little bit about yourself.
Sure, I would love to. My name is Susie Arbo, and I'm actually a licensed professional counselor. And so I have worked almost 20 years in the mental health profession, just helping people live their best lives and be the best version of themselves that they can be. And I've worked, as a school counselor. I actually am from Minnesota and went to college in South Dakota, and I was a school counselor. I also worked in drug court. I worked in community mental health. And my dream and my passion was always to kind of have my own business and to work on a ranch and use animals to help people better themselves. And so about 10 years ago, I started a business called Crossroads Counseling, and we offer mental health services, and our whole focus is rural Missouri. So just getting people access to mental health care, whether through counseling, through different events that we do where we teach people coping skills. And so that's kind of where my whole heart has been, is making people's lives better.
So was there one thing that put that thought in your mind a long time ago? When did you first become interested in this topic or this career, really?
Yeah, so actually, it kind of started a long time ago. When I was a young girl, I actually had a speech impediment where I stuttered and I was bullied. I was just anxious about going to school sometimes and just felt bad. And I just remember thinking, I don't want anybody else to ever feel this way. I want to help people and I want to empower them and give them tools and skills. And then as I kind of went through high school and college, mental health kind of started to become more and more talked about and became a thing. And then when I realized that you could actually use animals to help people, I thought, well, this is right up my alley, because I grew up on a farm in Minnesota and my family still actively farms up there right now. But we had horses and cattle and dogs and all sorts of different animals. And I always just saw the value in them. And it's just kind of crazy how life just comes full circle. And I'm able to kind of incorporate some of my passions into helping people live a better life.
What was it about having your own business that really appealed to you?
Getting to be able to do kind of what you want and have a different vision for it and a different kind of way to do things. We are located out in the country. One of our locations is literally in a horse barn. We take clients out for walks out in the pasture. And sometimes, if we have a person maybe that has PTSD and feels almost kind of trapped in when they're in a small office, they like to kind of get out and walk. And so just having the freedom to stay within the counseling guidelines, but then also be able to just offer services in a different way. We've got therapists that just specialize in different ways that you counsel people. They have different certifications in EMDR, which is a trauma type of therapy that we offer people. We've got school-based counselors where we send counselors into the schools. So just kind of being able to do our own thing was the main reason why I wanted to go off on my own and start Country Crossroads.
So, what kind of advice would you give to somebody who is thinking about starting their own business?
I would say if it is on your heart and that is something that you feel like you are called to do, that, there's a saying that says no risk, no reward. And I've always loved that saying. And it's very true. Cliff, having your own business and growing it all these years and whatnot, there's a lot of blood, sweat, and tears that goes into the back end of it. But also when it's your fuel and your passion, like I always say, I don't work a day in my life because I love so much what I do. But as we know, there are times when it's hard and you've got to be resilient and you've got to keep going. But I would definitely say if it's on your heart, you definitely should pursue it. Do the research behind it, meet with mentors, get together with people that are already doing it. A lot of times people will offer you really good information and you can learn from anybody, I feel like.
That's great advice. And you're right. Having gone through it, particularly early on, I think some of the ups and downs and challenges was maybe harder. They probably weren't as big a challenges as maybe we had as we grew and took on more and had more people and more clients and all that. But I think at some point, and I don't recall this being in like one day to the next, just over time, the thought of the responsibility of owning your own business and the responsibility you have to your employees and to your clients and things like that. At some point, I think you get to the point where it's just who you are and part of what you do. And it doesn't bother you like maybe it does early on when you're just getting up and going.
I would really agree with that. One of the leadership books that I did, it talked about just how stress, it never goes away. You just get better at handling it. And the more you're working the business and you're growing with it, things kind of pop up and come your way. And at our business, we call them gifts because they're wonderful learning opportunities for us to get better and stuff. And so we just reframe it and make it sound a little more, like, hey, we're learning from this. And there's going to be challenges, just like whenever you do something that, you grow from, there's going to be things that pop up. So you just get better at handling it. And I think that's kind of the mindset you need as a business owner.
Yeah, that's good perspective. Has your growth been fairly steady over the last few years? How would you describe that growth path?
I tell you what, we started with just me, and my husband always kind of had the vision too that he just said, there's not a lot out here as far as for people to get access to care. And so I filled up very quickly. And then another person approached me. Her name was Susie too, if you can imagine. And then we filled up her and it just kind of went from there. But I'm going to tell you what really was the pivotal point, Cliff, was when the pandemic happened. And then we saw such a uptick in mental health, like just concerns people. I mean, it was just wild during that time. And we grew from, I think we had 6 maybe counselors at that time up to almost 50 now. And, unfortunately, we've had the highest suicide rates we've ever had in the last couple of years in the United States. And we've had a lot of just crisis with our teenagers coming out of the pandemic. So we've just felt really blessed that we've been able to grow and to meet the demands and get the word out up to the masses about mental health and how important it is just to talk about what's going on in your life. We all have our own stuff. It just looks different.
So, is all of your therapy in person or are you doing some online as well?
We offer all sorts of different types of therapy. Yes, some is in person. Some people just prefer to come in person. Some is definitely through telehealth. That's the one good thing that came from the pandemic is we all got really comfortable talking like we're doing today and virtual meetings and whatnot. And so we kind of meet our clients where they're at. Like I said, we also have partnerships with school districts where we go into schools and we send counselors. We also partner with like the Veterans Home in Warrensburg. We send a counselor in, John Knox East, Hope Haven, a domestic abuse shelter. So we're kind of into the partnerships where we can definitely collaborate with other people that are out there trying to help people too.
And have you always integrated animals into your therapy?
So some of the staff is trained in animal assisted therapy and some just do the traditional therapy. And so it kind of is whatever our clients are requesting and wanting. Some of our therapists have like a therapy dog and they come to work with them or come to the school with them. So it's just kind of whatever the client prefers. It's always on my heart. If you were to come into therapy with me, you'd usually see a corgi with me. And so even today, I'm going to a school and I'm going to be talking on mental health and suicide prevention to students. And I always bring Coco the corgi. And she comes in and she just kind of sets the tone and kind of makes it more of a positive, proactive approach because it can be a heavy topic. But when you have the animals, it just lightens the mood and the students really like it.
Oh, that's awesome. I have a Coco the golden doodle.
Oh, okay. You've got a Coco too.
Yeah, she's my therapy dog. I talk to her and she's quite a lot smarter than me. So she guides me through life. But what's the therapy with horses like? How does that work?
It kind of depends on what the person is being treated for. But I'll just give you an example. We see a lot of people with anxiety. Anxiety is a very common disorder as far as it's a thought-based disorder. So it's a lot of, worrying and overanalyzing and going worst case scenario. So even just being in the presence of a horse and just brushing them, we do what we call mindfulness, where they ground themselves with a horse and they can think about right now what they're feeling, what they're seeing, what they're smelling, all the different senses, and just bringing them down to ground them. We also have activities that we do with the horses where we might set up a whole obstacle course out in the arena. And then we have the obstacles represent things that that person might have going on in their life, like different challenges, or like I just said, like gifts going on, things that they can learn from. And then we figure out ways that they can walk the horse through the obstacle. But then they've got to think about what is something I can do, a solution that I can try to make this situation better and to really empower people to find that they've got the resources within and they might just need the extra comfort of the animal or the therapist kind of talking them through those situations. And so there's a lot of really neat activities that we do and just being in the presence of them for a lot of people, not all people, some people are very terrified of horses, but most of the time people really benefit from it. And it's a very cool experience.
And do sometimes they learn to ride through this?
All equine assisted therapy is actually done whenever it's the psycho part of it is always done through groundwork. So nobody's riding at this time. My husband is actually a horse trainer. That's what he does for a living. And he does, like riding with people where he gives them riding lessons. But the therapy part of it is all groundwork.
Okay, interesting. So you started with just you and you've built up a practice with 50-ish associates. How'd you get the word out? I mean, has it all been organic or have there been certain marketing strategies that you've used over the years to build it to this point?
I always go back to the model of if you do a good job with somebody and you offer exceptional care, they're going to go back and they're going to tell their family and their friends, and the referrals are going to come word of mouth. And we have really grown as far as we care about our clients and we do a good job with them. And that has taken everything by storm and really helped the business. Maybe their cousin saw us or a friend saw us and they want to come and see us. So it's really been a lot of word of mouth. We also do a lot of community events. We've got a lot of community involvement where we host different workshops for people that just kind of give people a different experience, and it almost normalizes mental health. As far as we have like a day where it's called the Fall Festival and everybody comes out to the ranch and we do hay rides and we have live music and we do free pumpkins for the kids. It's a free event, but we get, over 400 people out just because it's an alternative feel good kind of way. And a lot of it has been organic. We've been really lucky. And of course, like I said, the pandemic really just helped us grow. But I know you with your marketing background and everything that you do, you probably see a lot of just different assortments of different types of marketing that works for people.
Well, it all works. Word of mouth is probably the best. That has become digital because now you've got ratings and reviews, and people have always used testimonials in their marketing materials. But if you can grow it that way, it's more of a controlled growth. It's less expensive than spending dollars on marketing strategies. But, all the strategies work. It's just a matter of finding out what works best for your particular situation. You mentioned the ranch. Talk a little bit about the geographies that you serve.
It's kind of funny. So we're Country Crossroads Counseling. We have these, what we call our C words, and there are value words. And we have them in all of our offices, but they're actually put in a running horse word cloud, if you will. But some of the words that go in that word cloud that we kind of live by is comfortable. And what we say about that is we make sure our offices are all really comfortable. Like we have another C word is country. We always have like a picture of animals, or we've got nature in our offices, even if they're in the city, like even if they're in Warrensburg or Sedalia, we try to always make them comfortable. And we dress very comfortably. We really cater to our rural people. We like to wear blue jeans and cowboy boots, and we kind of keep it rural, if you will. And we have a little saying, we say, keeping it rural, but we just want to make people feel calm and comfortable. So we just have a different approach. It's not a sterile clinic kind of setting. We like to cater to all types of people. And you'll see if you pull into our parking lots, a lot of pickups and a lot of families coming to us. And it's just a different kind of vibe. And that's kind of us.
Well, I can see how people would really respond to that, particularly out here in the country. You mentioned the word rural. And so I always like to talk about this because I think rural means different things to different people. What does rural mean to you? What is rural?
Well, when I think of rural, I grew up in Minnesota on a farm, and agriculture was always a really big part of my life. There's a lot of pieces that go into that because I feel like in smaller kind of communities that are further away from the bigger cities, there isn't always as much opportunity. So I kind of feel like in these areas, that we need people working the jobs in the schools in these smaller towns. We need people working at the colleges and the community colleges and the gas stations and the Walmarts and the Dollar Generals. Like we need all the people doing what they do and doing it well. And so I kind of feel like it encompasses just a lot of different people and a lot of different backgrounds. But that's an interesting thought, Cliff. I've never thought about it that way. Like, if you think about what it means to different people.
Yeah, it does. And, honestly, it's one of the reasons we do a podcast is exactly what you just said. We believe we have a great lifestyle and we could be doing our work from anywhere practically that you could get to, but we choose to do it here. So, one of the reasons we do the podcast is to tell more people about what rural America is all about. And by featuring people like you who tell your story and talk about your lifestyle and what you do so that they can maybe say, oh, you know what? I like what they're saying. I like the way this sounds. I could see myself living in an environment like this because there are so many opportunities out here. And, we do continue to fight the brain drain, people that just want to move to the city because they want to move to the city and take advantage of everything the city has to offer. But at the same time, there are so many good opportunities out here, good jobs, business opportunities that we want to attract some of those people to come move out here and to take these jobs, to fill these positions.
Absolutely. And I feel like there's just so many benefits to, just as far as I feel safety is just like a huge thing. I feel like we're really lucky to be able to feel safe and secure where we're at. I also feel like it's beautiful. Like I love to look out and to see, for miles, just rolling hills and trees and all of that kind of stuff. And also just I feel like it's a great place to raise a family. You meet a lot of really great down to earth people. And so there's just a ton of benefits to rural America, wherever you are.
I agree. And rural America is not necessarily the Midwest. I mean, certainly we have it here, but it's all over. And, actually, I think there are cities that really fall into the rural America lifestyle and mindset, maybe a little slower, a little bit more laid back, not necessarily your hustle bustle fighting the traffic challenges that you have. Getting to know you over the last few weeks, I'm impressed. I see you as a go-getter, somebody that started your own business from nothing based on your passions and your life goals, and now are running a pretty good sized, successful business. What are some of the tips that you have about being efficient and productive, or tools or apps that you use to help you on a day-to-day basis?
Yeah. In 2017, I'll never forget it. I was asked to speak at a conference on time management. And one of my passions in life is I run the roads and I speak about just different topics to different groups in schools, businesses, conferences. And so, anyways, they called me up and they asked me if I could come and speak about time management. And I was very honest with them. And I had just said, you know what, it's not something that I normally speak on. So I'd have to do a lot of research and I'd be happy to do it. But I just want you to know this isn't one of my normal, kind of go to topics. And the guy said, well, I trust you. He's like, yeah, he's like, learn what you can and come in March or whatever and talk to us. And I said, okay. So I spent hours learning about time management and I learned all these tips and tricks and I read books and I did all these training and it changed the course of my life because I didn't even realize how important like time is our most valuable resource. And, it's the one thing you can't get any more of. And so it's like learning how to manage it well and to be productive during that time, but then also taking time for you and for what you truly enjoy and what you truly value in life and, finding that for yourself. And that was one of kind of a pivotal moment for me that I just realized, okay, Susie, you know what? Here, you've got all these irons in the fire. Cause at that time too, I was doing the Chiefs and I was also running the business and I was also showing horses nationally and all sorts of things just were wild. And it just made me start really calendaring my time. So like on Sunday nights, I sit down with my planner and I look at my week ahead and I just make sure all of my meetings or my workouts or whatever that week is happening for me, that I've got all the time that I need to prep and to prepare and to be successful. And I think just the power of having some kind of plan for your time for a business owner is so huge, because Jim Rohn has a quote that says, either you run the day or the day runs you. You just wake up every day and you're just kind of like, oh, what's going to happen today? It's like the day is going to whip you, whatever way it's going to go. So it's like having that plan has really helped me all these years. Another kind of tip, and we kind of hit on it earlier, but I just feel like being a business owner, being resilient. I mean, bouncing back. There's going to be hard things. There's going to be people that, are maybe challenging, or situations that happen, and having the power and the stamina and the drive to keep bouncing forward and moving forward, because that's when a lot of people give up, is when the going gets tough. That has always kind of just catapulted me forward to be like, you know what? I know there's going to be these times, but it's going to make us better. I keep a calendar. I actually have a planner that I keep with me at all times. I also always carry a little notebook. I study high performance people. And one of the key things of high performance people is they always carry a little notebook and they take a lot of notes. And so I just kind of got that. And then I always try to circle back around and follow up with my notes. If it's a to-do list, then I'm going to put that into my planner and I'm going to make sure that I'm making time for it and prioritizing. So those are a couple of my little favorite things.
Those are good ones. Those are some of my favorite things as well. I still keep a planner. And interestingly enough, I was helping out with an orientation of a new employee today. And she asked a couple questions, like, give me some tips, give me some advice. And I'm like, get a journal, start writing down everything you hear, everything you think, topics that you want to go back and look on. And so as you build this journal over time, it'll be a reference tool for you to be able to go back and, refine what you're doing and continue to get better and better. I think she heard it. Hope she starts doing it. We'll find out next time I meet with her, see if she has one. But I agree with that. I really think writing it down sort of makes it more permanent. And for me, as I get older, if I don't write it down, I might remember, but it might be 3 weeks from now in the middle of the night. I want to write it down, and then I want to check it off.
Right. Yep. That was such good advice that you gave her. There's a statistic that says the average human has 60,000 thoughts a day. And so, when you think about that, I mean, why would we expect ourselves to remember all of that? Get out your little piece of paper or your notebook or your planner and just jot down some notes, whether it be your grocery list or whether it be goals or whether it be what you need to accomplish that day at work or whatnot, can be just super helpful. So that's awesome.
I agree. Well, folks, I think that if you have enjoyed listening to this, you ought to Google Country Crossroads Counseling and read a little bit more, because Susie has a very unique approach to therapy and a very cool story to share. What's the future look like for you and your company, Susie?
Well, we always kind of have the goal of getting the word out to the masses about mental health. And so we always are kind of growth type mindset as far as our employees are and our company. And so we're looking to expand into more locations and more schools. And we're so excited to be in Sedalia, thanks to you, Cliff. So we're excited to get that up and rolling and just kind of keep growing. Our mission is to help as many people as we can. So be watching for us. And if we can ever help you out in the future, we would love to. And thank you for what you do with OutDrive. I feel like that's so important. Expanding the knowledge and highlighting people that are living in rural America is huge. So thank you. That's important work you do.
Oh, you're very welcome. I've sure enjoyed visiting with you again today.
Thank you.
Folks, thanks for listening to OutDrive. I hope you've enjoyed our visit today with Susie Arbo, founder and owner of Country Crossroads Counseling. Come back again next week and I'll take you down the roads of rural America, where it's heaven on earth.
Thanks for taking a ride with us on OutDrive. This episode is complete, so head on over to ecallis.com for more insight you can apply to help drive your business growth. And be sure to sign up for our free monthly e-letter, OutThink, for even more helpful content about marketing to rural America. Have a great day and keep on driving.